Women should vote too. In the year 1840, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott accompanied their husbands to an anti-slavery convention, but were appalled when they and other women had to sit out due to their gender. The two met each other there and vowed to hold a convention for women's rights when they returned home. Elizabeth wrote the Declaration of Sentiments for the convention, which contained multiple resolutions for women equality. In July 1848, Elizabeth and Lucretia held the first convention for women's suffrage and other female rights in St. Falls, New York. This brought the attention of the idea of women receiving the right to vote, but the attention began declining April 12, 1861, when the Civil War began. The end of the Civil War and WNL. In 1852, Susan B. Anthony joined the fight for women's equality. She and Stanton created the Women's National Loyal League, WNL, in 1836. The WNL's goal was the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery, to be added after the Civil War. When the Civil War ended and the amendments 13 through 15 were ratified, the WNL disbanded. Multiple argued that the 14th Amendment, which in simple terms said that all born in the U.S. are U.S. citizens, extended to women's right to vote. But the Supreme Court stated, while women were citizens entitled to due process and equal protection, it does not extend to their right to vote. This response shut down and denied the idea of women's voting rights at all. The 15th Amendment. The 15th Amendment, proposed in 1868, let colored men vote despite being involved in previous enslavement. This upset the women's group because it did not involve their right to vote. The group had two main ways of handling it, causing them to split the movement into two groups. The first group called themselves the National Women's Suffrage Association, NWSA, and was formed by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton in May of 1869. They did not support the 15th Amendment because it didn't give women the right to vote. Their approach to solve this problem was to send a petition for the 15th Amendment to include women. The second national suffrage organization was also created in 1869 and was the American Women's Suffrage Association, AWSA, founded by Lucy Stone, Julia Ward Howe, and Thomas Wentworth Higginson. They were less direct and more subtle because they thought their small victories would get more in favor for women's right to vote. Taking a turn in women's voting history. In 1872, Susan B. Anthony voted in Rochester, New York, and was arrested for, quote, knowingly, wrongfully, and unlawfully voting for representative to the Congress of the United States, unquote, and was fined $100, which she refused to pay. Later, she asked the Congress for the fine to be removed as an expression to show her fine was unjust.